Hey, good evening, beautiful people. It's yours truly, Tammy B. And I want to thank and welcome each and every one of you for joining another session of Real Talk with Tammy B and Company. And excuse me, because Troy didn't think he was going to be able to join us, and he just texted me and said that he is. So I'm pulling Troy in on the conversation right now. So that's why I am distracted, but welcome, and I thank you, amazing people, for being with us. And okay, look, I gotta focus now, y'all. I got caught off guard, but I'm excited because I want all my men a part of this conversation, because that's what real talk with the men, real men, is all about. Okay, so this is the show where we are recording live so that you all can actively engage in our conversation. Therefore, if you are watching via another platform, I invite you to jump on over to @thassawoman on YouTube, so that if you have questions or comments, you can drop them and I can share them with our panelists. And if you are on YouTube, please, sir, please, ma'am, drop us some questions and some comments throughout this talk, because these talks have been really good, and these talks are for the greater good of us all. So, and as a matter of fact, someone suggested to me, well, why don't at some point you bring some women on and have some dialogue that way? So I'm going to plan a day on that as well. But for right now, this is the men's talk, and this is for us to listen to. And before we get started, I want to ask you, if you are not part of our community, please join us by subscribing, because we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with new content, in which I'm always grateful for you amazing people being with us. And with this being the third Wednesday of the month, our girl Cola E the Great will not be with us, but we are sure she is supporting us via the live stream. But we do have my man, Mr. Shelly Sims, who is our resident realtor. Hey, Shelly.
Hello, everyone. All that good stuff.
Yes, it's always good when we all in the building together. You already know, with that bright smile, and it's so bright in your background before the time get ready to change, because it seems like it's getting darker early
Yeah,
already.
it happens real fast. What they say, like a thief in the night.
Facts, facts. And I have, listen, y'all, Mr. William, he joined us last month, and his journey and authenticity, it was just so wowing that I had to bring Mr. William, make him a part of this journey with us. So, hey, William,
Hey, how you doing?
amazing. How about yourself?
A little tired. I had training the last 2 days, but I'm all right. I can make it through.
You can make it through.
I'm gonna tough it out.
Listen, you know what? I think we all thugging it out right now, because there's something in the air. No. I have last week I shared that we had the sudden passing of one of my 25-year-old cousins. He unalived in a car accident. Him, his girlfriend, and their little toy dog. His 7-month-old baby survived in the
Oh,
car seat in the back. So the baby is still here, but everybody that was in the front, they rear-ended a tractor trailer. It was on the news and
oh,
everything.
Jesus.
Wow.
And I
I'm
decided,
sorry to hear that.
thank you, I appreciate it. And I decided, I still will not watch the video footage of it, because it was on the news, because I don't want to see it. But I've had family in since last week, so I've literally been doing something every day. And yeah, I feel
Was
you.
it in Atlanta? It was in Atlanta.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's horrible. I worry about my daughters all the time driving in Atlanta because my daughters are down in Atlanta. So, and my grandchildren. So the traffic and it's crazy there.
Yeah, but you know what? I think what I don't know what kind of happened. I can only speculate, but it was at night, and from the news report, the tractor trailer must have stopped for traffic ahead but I don't know if they were too close, whereas they didn't realize. Which of course, that's one thing I'm always recommending. Keep visibility as best you can around tall vehicles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and his dad is like, he had a brand new car, so it should have stopped, and it didn't. So that's something that they're investigating as well. So thank you, and thank you to the chat. I appreciate that, Miss Octavia. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I see Troy has popped on. Hey, Troy, when I saw your text, I had just hit the live button, and I was like, wait a minute, y'all, Troy texting, so I'm gonna bring you on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How you feeling?
Good. I feel good. I mean, I've had my share of ups and downs, but today I'm well. I'm well. I'm always like just grateful to wake up in the morning. Grateful for these hands to be working, this mouth to be working, and everything else is beside the point. Like this is what really matters is that you can wake up and do something different. And so today I've been able to wake up and do something different. So I'm grateful.
Oh man, see, and you come on with some words of encouragement. Mm. Look, let me pass the offering plate on that. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Pass the offering. No, no, but no. All jokes aside, no. You know what? That's the mindset that we're supposed to wake up with every day. Every day is a new day for us to explore, to create, to enjoy. And I know what the expression "life is lifing," so it's kind of hard at times to even appreciate those little things. But you know what? Appreciation for those little things bring about the bigger things in life. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for those words of encouragement. And I know our man Rondi, he was in a meeting, but he's gonna be jumping on with us as well. So I'm excited. So while we wait for Rondi, last month we just jumped right in. Like the talk was just like full steam ahead. So I didn't ask an icebreaker question, and I want to ask because I like that male testosterone. So I want to ask the question: any good movies that you guys have seen? This is summer, blockbuster summer movie time. Any good movies that y'all seen lately? Whether the summer, this year, anything?
No, not really.
Not really.
I haven't seen any. I haven't been to the movies, and I couldn't even tell you.
You don't got to go to the movies to see them.
I know, but I can't remember. I think I watched something. I don't know. Man, I'll be like you said, life and be life.
I tried to watch that new Ice Cube movie. My daughter like hated it, but when we watched it, it was good. It was Cube, so I support him. It was good.
So ditto. I watched it. I did. I do think I fell asleep by the end of
Mhm.
it. So I need to go back and finish it. I think that was the remake of Tom Cruise's movie War of
Yeah,
the
it was
World.
something like the end of the world type scenario. Yeah, World of
Yeah,
Wars or something.
War of the Worlds. War of
War
the
of the
Worlds.
Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I tried. I did. But Troy, you smiling? Any movies for us?
I mean, I haven't really been like this year very much, but I did get to see Sinners. I
Yeah, I
did think
did.
that was a interesting spin on vampires, etc. I do want to watch it again so I can get like more in depth the second time around. I feel like the first time was just kind of like a breeze through, and it was cool and all of that, but I want to go back and watch it once again. So this time I can look with a more like have my eyes more focused on what I'm actually seeing, like and understanding all the storyline.
So in other words, you really want to go back so you can see the hype that everybody was talking about that you missed in the first go
I
around.
thought it was good the first time around, but I do think, like with most things, just like music, right? You miss things the first time you listen to it.
Mhm.
There's always some little things, nuances that you didn't catch. So I want
Yep.
to go back and just watch it again, after watching some other people's commentary, just to see how I feel about it now watching it.
Okay, I love to get your feedback because, as a matter of fact, I was gonna ask you all, had you all seen Sinners, because
I
that
did.
was what I was wondering what your thoughts on it was, because I asked the ladies a little while back, and you know, I mean, as far as a vampire movie, yeah, it was a good movie. I did catch some messages. It's just like I told them, like that movie, They Clone Tyrone. I caught the messages in that. I did. I caught what they were trying to say. Sinners, I didn't fully catch it. It was just to me like a if you like vampire movies, it's a good vampire movie, but I didn't catch everything that they were trying to say. And I did try to go back and watch it a second time, but I fell asleep. I
I
tend to do
think
that.
I think it was the little messages was about how people and tradition and how things, you hear about things growing up from your grandmom and the old folk from slavery and stuff like that about how things were, and they made a perception of how they were treated in that time period and things like that. So that's what I took away from it. It was like, we always talk about voodoo and all those things that people believe in certain areas of the country. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So that's what I thought. That's what I took from it. That it was some kind of history, or something associated with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know they took a little walk down music. You know what I'm saying? They
Hmm.
went, you know,
People
I
selling
mean,
their souls. Hmm.
yeah, I kind of was thrown off with that twerking scene, but I mean, guess if you gonna walk down music, I guess you gotta throw some twerking in there. I don't know,
Because they
Shelly.
said the blues people used to sell their souls to the devil so they can have that talent. So that's what they say. I don't know.
That's what they say. You
That's what
know
they
what?
say in certain areas. So you never
Is that
know.
because they were black?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If you ever see that movie with George Clooney, oh, I can't remember. Oh my goodness, I can't even think of the name. But they broke out of prison and then they was running and they found a black guy. He was playing the guitar and they formed a little band. But he sold his soul to the devil to be part of them, and it was during the racist time. Oh well, thou something like that. I can't remember, but that's one of my favorite movies though. but
You gotta
but
find out the
it,
names of that. I'll be
I got
curious.
to get the name when my wife come in. I'll get the name from. I can't think of it.
But so, can I tell y'all what's so curious about you even saying the devil to me today? Because this is like the third, like, haven't talked about that particular entity in a very, I can't say recall when, but that's the third time today I've been in a conversation and that particular word came up, and let me tell you why. It's just something that fell into my spirit that I was sharing with two separate individuals, and they both recommended books for me. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's a book by Napoleon Hill titled Outwitting the Devil. Anybody ever hear that book?
I got it in there.
Shelly, I need to borrow it.
Okay, I got it.
I
I'm
need to
ready.
borrow it
Yeah, yeah.
because I was told. I mean, for the fact that two people done said something to me about it, and then I'm hearing that word again, I'm like, yeah, I need to get to that book because I need to understand. I know a lot, but I want to hear what was said because I know that's about transmutation. It's about energy. It's my
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
You're
fully
everything on the
understanding.
inside, your energy. Yeah. It's your thought process, how you think of it, and your
Yes.
thoughts, project your reality. Like I said, we only see what we look at. So if we're looking at all the negative, then we become that.
And that's by design. We're fed the negative so that we can become the negative.
Facts.
Even like William, when he was talking about the selling the soul to the devil, and Ronnie, I'm gonna acknowledge you in just a quick second. Selling your soul to the devil, that's because if you think that that's the only way you can have success, then that'll kind of keep people at bay. Well, I'll be mindful of the success I have because I don't want to sell my soul to
Mm-hmm.
get caught up in that stuff. But that water runs real deep. What you gonna say?
I'm just thinking like, look at the music business now, right? Look at Puffy. Look at Suge Knight. Look at you remember from the Five Heartbeats, Big Red? You remember how he did things? That's how everybody trying to run their business. They and then people want to be famous so fast and so that's what it is right now. People want to be famous, but they don't want to put the work in, but they want to get it the fast way. And then you got people talking about, well, I got it, but this is the things I had to do. Look at all the stuff that's coming out from Puffy, you know. And I'm from New York, so I know who P Diddy is. I know who he is. Know what he's about. I did security for them back in the day. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's a lot of stuff. People, you hear people coming out talking about certain things.
Mhm.
It's too late. You should have said it back then. But again, I don't have any sympathy for them. I don't have none, and that's
Yeah.
real talk. Because you do what people allow you to do, and people allow other things to happen to you because that's what you want to do. You ready to sacrifice your morals, your character, just to be famous. It is what it is.
So William, you are opening up a can of worms on that one. But before we go fishing, Rondi, hey, Mr. Chocolate Buddha himself.
What's happening, people? How is everyone? I'm glad to be here with all of y'all.
We are so glad to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Hey, so everybody, if you didn't join us month before last when Rondi was on here, Rondi had us so intrigued about the bass guitar, how it feels when you play it. Like he engaged us so much, see, right? Troy and Shelly laughing because they know, like he had us like. Huh? To the point, Keller was like, I think somebody just got pregnant by Ronnie talking about.
Let's say very, very descriptive. Very descriptive.
Oh my goodness. These things live on, don't they? Like
Yes,
this will be
yes.
in perpetuity.
Well, we're so glad to have you. Welcome back. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining. Thank you. Just love it. We were all kind of like we were about to go down a rabbit hole, but I think for a second we're gonna pull the rabbit hole back in because I want to make a couple of quick announcements. So y'all know I like to give you guys the fun food day. And so the fun food day for today, which Shelly don't care about this particular one. Today is National Bacon Lovers Day. So I swore off pork because it was breaking my face out, but I did a test run. I don't know if it was the pork, but maybe I don't know. But today is National Bacon Day and National Chocolate Pecan Pie Day. That sounds yummy. Look, and but now this the and I ain't feeling this and so and it's World Mosquito Day, which I'm like, why they dedicating a day to mosquitoes? Because I'm already trying to figure out why they here. Because they come on me like they'll bypass everybody and come to me. Like I won't. Yeah, I'm not a fan. But we was just talking about music, so today is also National Radio Day, which is a day to commemorate the anniversary of the first commercial radio station, which was 8MK, now WWJ, in Detroit, Michigan, which went on air August 20th, 1920. So little fact there. And also one more thing, because I am Mama Bear, I have to say happy birthday to my favorite Leo, my youngest son. I call him T Money or my mini me that's taller than me, my son, Mr. Tevin. So happy birthday, King. If you tuning in, love you. So grateful for you being my son. I love you to life. So now with that being said, I want to put this on the table. So before we dive in, also, viewers, remember, if you have questions, comments, things you want to hear us talk about, or something you want to say, put it in the chat, the YouTube chat, and I am going to share. So I'm going to share my screen real quick because I want to also, there's an event coming up in Atlanta that I had the opportunity to. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Okay. Okay. I went to a community event. They're going to have a wellness Black men's wellness tour. It's going through major cities, and Atlanta is one of the places that is going to take place on September 20th. And the goal and the intent is to have men show up, have wellness checks. There are going to be free vendors on site doing high blood pressure check, prostate check, all those kind of things. So it's going to be the hours are 7 a.m. to 12. So if you're not in the Atlanta area or you and want to do a road trip, this would be a good opportunity to come. If you are here, join us because yours truly will be out there. And so I just was so honored about the fact that I was invited to that event. It was a bunch of community leaders that were invited. And so I was a part of that. And the fact that it was about, men, and we were doing this talk. So that's going to bring my first question to the table. Now, although the event was a predominant male meeting, there were several women in the room, and the question was asked, why is it that men have the hardest time taking care of themselves by going to the doctor? Even when their body is telling them that something is wrong, they still don't go, which of course me made me smile because the wisdom that was shared by those senior gentlemen that were in there. I was like, man, I would love to pull my camera out and let people hear that, but inappropriate. However, I want to open up our conversation tonight with that question. Why do you think many men, especially Black men, face challenges in prioritizing their health and seeking medical care even when symptoms are evident?
Well, I'm gonna start off because I'm a black man with health issues. So I'm gonna tell you that I think it's just historically that I know my dad was one of 13. I think I shared that with y'all before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were taught men don't do certain things. Men don't cry. Men don't hug. Men don't do this. They don't do that. They're only supposed to work, be able to provide, be able to protect, and be able to procreate. Right. So I watched my dad deteriorate because he's an alcoholic as well, but he didn't go to the doctor unless he was forced to go. I'm gonna tell you, before he died, he signed himself out the hospital with congestive heart failure.
Mm.
He signed himself out because he didn't want to be in the hospital. He didn't want to listen to me or my sister. He signed himself out the hospital. Now, mind you, I was living in Georgia when this happened. I get a call that he died, but he died within a couple of days. I can't remember because my sister was trying to get in the house. He wouldn't answer the phone. He wouldn't. But I think it's ingrained in a lot of older men that you don't. That's like you soft if you go to the doctor. Make a long story short, that's not man stuff. But with my health issues, I, I got a bulldog as a wife, so I'm not playing with it. And I watched my parents suffer because they didn't go to the doctor like they were supposed to. And it's not just men; it's black women too. It's not just men. We got a lot of black women that don't go to the doctor as well. But it's more polarized for black men because we tend to have high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, strokes. We're high in strokes and things to that nature. So, but I go to the doctor with a quickness.
I think it's mainly like for older men as well. I think it's a trust thing. I don't think we've ever had
That
good
came up.
relationships with the medical side of the equation and the other people. You know, them folks. You know, it's just it was a trust thing. I know I don't like going to the doctor. I guess it's more trust, but I think it's like he said too. We just feel we men like I'll go when I think our mentality is just different. We as long as we can keep going, we're gonna keep going.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know,
I
we work so much and kids and responsibility, time in our mind is also a major factor. Ain't too many men. Well, back in the day that we worked so much till we were to the bone, going to the doctor for 2, 3 hours, you know, he was like, I could be at work or wherever it is. Yeah. Even to this day, I ain't taking off work for the doctor. Like I got to be really messed up.
But so let me interject. That right, that right there, of course, is your truth.
Mm.
Um, I want to suggest why get to the point of being messed up when you have the opportunity to not get messed up. Because when those symptoms start showing themselves, it's saying, hey, take time for you. I feel far too long we have not been given permission to tend to self first. So that's one of the things that I think that we should just kind of you know, you guys are important. We need you. It's like that's one of the things that I heard. Trust was a factor, and women, William, you said the bulldog of a wife. That's what tends to get you guys moving. But we want you guys to love yourselves enough to move without the bulldog pushing you.
And
Rhonda, you was getting ready to speak.
I'm sorry, real quick. If I think about it, I don't know any men with health insurance.
That came up too. That came up too.
Like
Mm.
almost
mm,
literally. So
right. I think I, like so many of us identify who we are with our work. And so if we identify who we are with our work, our what makes a man often is uh, uh, society has said what makes a man is this type of work you do. And if you aren't able to do that work, then you may be feeling some type of way about your manhood, about, you know, about, nah, I need to go out there and and make this money for my family, to be that provider, you know. And so that's the thing that I think holds some men back, are from actually making themselves feel vulnerable in a way, you know. Also, brother brother William Ward talked about um, how like uh, women. I'm just going to take it to a different level, William. Um, that Audre Lorde talked about this in her book, The Will to Change. That the way we deal with a young boy and the way we deal with a young girl is totally different. Moms, grandmamas, aunts would tell a young boy, "Do not cry. You do not cry. Hold that in." Well, they'll tell a young lady, "It's okay to cry. Come on, it's okay, baby." Right? So we kind of grew up with all that in us. Like, you know, we can't be vulnerable. We can't let that stuff out. And so it's our community that's doing this to us. You know, we're doing it to ourselves, but it's also the community that says, you know, you have to be this certain way. You know, you can't be soft. You have to be hard. all the time, you know?
Well, I agree with that. I teach my boys that, and only because I know how hard life is, and they have to be strong enough to handle the weight of their whole family on their back. So they have to be strong. And not meaning they can't ever be sensitive or nothing, but they you got to prepare them for the world, so they have to be strong. And
Yeah,
crying is there's not nothing wrong with crying. We all cry. I cry. Everybody cry. But it is definitely a form of weakness that we fear, which is probably no incident in history has happened, but we fear our boys will become too sensitive if we allow them to be sensitive. So we just nip it in the bud from the gate.
yeah. I think we're sort of confusing our young folks because um, it gets a little confusing to them because what it was to be a man 30 years ago is different now,
That's the
right?
key.
Women are going out making it just much more. Actually, women make more money, to be honest with you. And women are in the workforce, and so we have to change. We have to catch up because what it was to be a man, 30 years ago is different than it's different now.
Is it? I think because women make more money, they still don't have the weight of the family on their back. They're not here to protect us. They don't have to be strong and fight and ward off thieves and problems. So I think we are confusing our boys making it about money because the bread, whoever makes the most money is not the breadwinner in the family. They just because education and opportunity is more equal now. They just make more money. But if my woman made more money than me, or say I was one of these guys that didn't do nothing, a bag got broken here, I still gotta fight him. If the bags is heavy, she's not gonna be like, since I make the money, I'll carry these bags and I'm gonna kill this. Like the weight of the man is still on the man, but times are so different that men aren't working hard like we did. These young boys ain't putting in work, to pay bills. They are kind of got it a little easier where they don't have that stress on them. So that factor of it is definitely correct. But for the
Mm,
men that are out there that have families and take care of their families, whether they making the money or not, they still the man around their house and not, as far as like I say, protection and provision and yard work, heavy stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So
Mm.
yeah.
So let me read a couple of comments in from the chat. So, but when I first asked the question, the first response I got was because they are stubborn, and I can see that being a reality. Somebody else put in the chat medical racism and medical gaslighting is a reason a lot of Black people in general don't seek medical help. Sad but true. Then another person added, some men feel if they don't know they are sick, it didn't happen. Shelly smiled on that one. So I guess we might have stepped on his toe on that one. And then and I like to give our queen the shout out. Queen Sylvia stated, Dr. Jewel Holcomb educated my husband to the fact that all medical standards are based on a white 49-year-old male,
mhm.
and that melanated people are different from other cultures.
And that's a fact. From
Well,
genetically, period. We're 100% different. Biological, and everything. We're different.
Go
You
ahead,
know,
that
Queen.
might be true. That all might be true. But let's also be honest about some other stuff. I mean, at some point, we also have to take into account that yes, our traditions haven't been great. We haven't taught our young, about the nuances of maybe going to the doctor or even going ourselves. But like it's just like mental health. At the end of the day, these are things that we actually really do need to be starting to figure out how to take on, how to put ourselves in front of these issues. I mean, I've seen people go from prostate cancer like this, right? And they probably, some of these things could have been prevented had we gone and taken care of things early on. And so some of our pride is actually getting in our way and actually taking us out pretty fast. And I think that's the conversation we really need to start having, is how can we put our pride aside, and as soon as we start feeling something, going and start getting that taken care of, right? I had, part of the reason I wasn't coming here today is because I told Tammy, like, hey, look, I had to go to the doctor today, but I went to the doctor because I had some heart fluttering that I had never had before happen one day last week, Friday. And here it is on Wednesday. I'm going to get that checked out. I'm going to get a test run immediately. Because I'm not going to wait to find out what the next step is. I'm not going to wait to find out, like, oh, I don't need my mama anymore to go and plan my appointment. I can do that myself. I now need to handle it. And so I think, like, the conversation, it is true. It is all those things that all you guys said is true. I mean, we are stubborn. This is true. We put our pride, like we have so much on our plates that nobody ever knows about, because nobody ever talks about the Black man unless it's in a negative light. Nobody ever talks about all the things that you're trying to, like, carry, and how you're trying to hold the weight of the world. Nobody talks about that part. However, you still have to take care of yourself, and I agree, Western medicine is not necessarily for us. Actually, it ain't really for nobody, because it doesn't cure anybody. It doesn't cure us of anything. There's no money in the cure. So everybody's a victim to it to some degree. But there are certain things that we do need to think about, like practicing, making sure that we get checked out for cancers, making sure that we make a regular appointments and get regular physicals maybe once or twice a year. Those are things that we have to start doing and being prideful about doing it. Telling these young people, you need to go and do that. Go and get yourself checked out. Go get your toes checked out. How many people have ever seen a podiatrist? Most of us haven't. So, like, trying to go and just make sure that we are taking care of ourselves so that we don't end up being that person. And sometimes the way that we have to talk about it is talking about, like, what's going to happen if you don't. For instance, like, I have people in my life who like money, and the only way that they can think about life is about making money. So when I say, hey, look, if you don't go and get X, Y, and Z checked out and have a specialist take a look at it, your money making days are over. So, like, and you have to talk in terms that people understand sometimes. And I think all of us will probably have a person, know a person in our lives that has these types of things. So those are my contributions to this conversation. Is I feel like we definitely need to figure out how to be more open and honest about, like, well, be more open, but also being more mindful about the fact is we're the ones dying, and we have to here and try to figure out how to make change and get regular checkups for ourselves.
So, I'm gonna share this, and I think I shared it with you guys last time. But me having a heart attack at 28 was something different, right? So that came out of nowhere. Even though I had the history in my family, I was working out, playing basketball 3 times a week, you know, coaching football with the kids. But the doctor told me it was just genetics. Genetics got me. I'm the youngest of three. They got me. I got everything my mom and dad had. But I was an athlete. You see what I'm saying? I did all kinds of stuff. Lift weights, all that stuff. But what I found out is that, after this last surgery, my triple bypass 2 years ago, I learned that a lot of it is self-imposed. Like you said, Troy, we didn't look. I just was fighting through certain things, not doing what my doctor told me to do, not doing what, I know the history, I know what's coming, but I still had to keep moving and grinding. But after this last time, it's changed. It scared me because a lot of times don't want to admit that they scared to go to the doctor too. You scared because you don't want to find out what's really wrong with you, right? That's that pride, right? But this last time, seeing my wife and my sister and my children, my friends looking at me like, come on, man, we did this almost 20 years ago with you. That's on me. That's on me, right? So I promised all of them, you won't see me like that again. I can't. I can't see that. You know what I mean? So I have to do what I have to do. So just like you, Troy, you had something last week or 2 weeks ago. I got some swelling in my leg, and that scared me because I have a heart disease. And I called the doctor right away. My wife was going, we was going to the hospital. I talked to the doctor. I had to take an extra water pill, but it scared me to the fact that that fluid could go up to my heart and just take me out right in my sleep. I ain't had no second guessing, no second thought. Called the doctor, got it. They got me in right away. He said it's from the heat. I'm doing all the. I got to wear compression socks. I'm taking extra stuff, and I'm walking around. But when you get to a certain age, you can't play with it anymore because your body talks to you. It does. It really does. And I'm a living testimony to how it talks because it's talking to me right now. I'm tired. I'm sore. I got a pinched nerve. I got all that. I still got to go work through it. But I recognize that now when I have these aches and pains, I'm on the phone with my doctor. What I got to do? I'm tired of taking pills, but what I got to do? You know, so if us men, especially black men, we got to get out our own way. If we don't get out our own way, I don't care if you got a bulldog as a wife, you got your friends, your mama, your grandmama telling you, look what happened to your daddy. You know, look what happened to your Uncle Joey. You know what I'm saying? We have to set our minds and get out our own way. And we can read and we can do all that stuff, but it's all up in our head. We in our own heads right
Mm,
now.
mm,
And
mm.
to your point, there was another young lady that stood up and said, like, okay, well, who's going to follow up with these people? Which I understand what she was saying. I also know that that may be hard to do, right? The goal is to get the testing. But her point was like, if we say brother Joe has high blood pressure, who's going to follow up with him to make sure he takes care of it? Now, at the end of the day, if it's told, brother Joe, you have high blood pressure, which, like, some people, it was said, like, some people don't even know they have it until they go to like events like this. And that's something that we know that we should, especially historically in the African American community, we're supposed to be checking our high blood our blood pressure to make sure that we're okay. But you know when you give the results, it still becomes incumbent upon the individual to utilize that information for their good, for their own good,
Mm.
I would think. But now I do want to read the chat. Somebody put medical racism is still taught in the healthcare field. I was told in my phlebotomy class that black people's skin is thicker and tougher than any other skin, which, okay, we do know that to be the case. The melatonin, I'm sure, will play a role in that, melanin. And then someone added cost is also a problem, which I think we mentioned the insurance. And then it was suggested read vitamins and minerals from A to Z with ethno consciousness by Dr. Jewel Pookrum, MD. So there has been a book dropped, and I will be making a note of that to read that. I mean, because I was going to interject too, like, also, even if people are not having problems, the best way to not have problems is to try to be preventative with eating, diet, exercising. I know, like, a lot of seniors ended up on dialysis because they were taking that medication but wasn't even drinking enough water to hydrate and let it allow their kidneys to flush out. So that's also a problem. I even hear people say all the time, like, I don't drink a lot of water, I don't like to drink water. But then you wonder why your body is retaining a lot. And I know there's conflicting information on that. The do you drink a lot of water or do you not? I don't know, no expert, but I'm just saying that we need to be mindful of that.
You, uh,
Go ahead.
just just really quickly, you kind of talked about some things and it reminded me of like some of what we have to do is is go to black doctors. When you
Mm.
go to a black doctor, stats have shown the results are like 3 or 4 times better, your outcomes when you go to a black doctor. You're going to have those conversations with them. They're going to understand you. They could even be from a different country, right? But the
Mhm.
fact that you look like them and they got a black father or a black mother who may be going through something very similar than what you're going through,
Mhm.
right? All these stats have shown that once we that's just in the medical field. Black teachers, they said once these kids have a black teacher in elementary school, their outcome is far more better, right? When you have white teachers, your outcome is just not that great. The only problem with this, there's not enough black doctors.
Well, this is a really interesting one for me because this is actually what I work in, right? And so I work with helping people to get connected to um, people that look like them, right? And I'm going to be careful with what I say and how I say it because, for all kinds of reasons. But at any
Mhm.
rate, what I'll say is that's my whole job is to make sure that people get connected with people that look like them if that's what they want. Now, I'm going to say this is a twofold thing because on the surface, that sounds amazing. But we also have a lot of us who are connected to white supremacy. And if I don't call that out, then I'd be like I have to. The reality of it is everyone who is skin folk and kin folk, and we have to be real honest about that part too. What we really have to have, and I agree, I wish we had way more of us in the medical field that understand, etc. But a lot of times, what we get is we get someone who's by proxy. We get like an African person, or we get like those types of things, and they don't necessarily always have the same understanding of America that we do. They don't have the same lived experience we do, and so therefore there's something that it is totally unique to African American folks that is a little bit different than others. I'd also say, in my experience, just having a good doctor that gives a about you matters, right? Like that matters because one of the things about, like for instance, my doctor, he's not black, but what I love about him is he shows up caring about who I am, how I am. He don't care if it takes 20 or 30 minutes or an hour. He gonna take whatever time he has to make sure that when I walk out of there, I'm better than I left. Or we're figuring out what's going on so that there's no questions about what's happening. And I think that in itself, just caring enough about a person to take care of them is important because just think how much more likely would you be to contact your doctor if your doctor felt like somebody you could trust. And if you felt like I could call this doctor at any given time and they're gonna give me their best effort. If you felt like that, it's just no longer than it's no different than maybe a good friend in the sense that you feel like, hey, I can call on you if something happens and I know you're gonna help me to figure this out. That's not most of our experiences. As a matter of fact, I had never had that experience until I got this doctor. I had a dentist that was really great at one point in time, but I had never had like my medical, you know, PCP be that. And so I think that's also part of why we have these issues with, and I don't think this is unique to just black men. I think black people in general carry a lot of stereotypes, a lot of different things, and this is what part of it is. But I think also with these black physicians, once again, they've also been trained in white supremacy, so and I get to deal with this. And so because of that, I think we run into a couple of different things. Like, right, we get some that are definitely in there, understand who they are, who we are, and understand how they need to show up. But then you get others that come in and they're just totally, you might as well be dealing with just anybody else because they're not necessarily there for us. And that's unfortunate but true.
Mm. Well, listen, somebody put in the chat, preach, Troy. So you you saying some good stuff there, and then it was also added, and when these conversations are had with your doctor, you need to be open and honest, which is true because doctor can't help you if he don't know what's going on with you. So Can't disagree with that. So, do you guys think that maybe there's some strategies or community based approaches that could effectively encourage Black men to participate more actively in health screening and preventative care? Like, I know, like, this walk is coming up, but do y'all think there's anything like that can be put in place to help with this? Because I just ultimately everything I'm hearing is a stigma, the stigma of fear, the stigma of trust, the stigma of how do what can we do to break that? Because there is important there's value in this information.
I think we've been doing this stuff for kind of a long time. They have fairs every year around this time because the health, the open enrollment for health insurance is coming up, right?
Mm,
So they start to target us again that black men don't do it, but it's only once a year. If you look at it, you think about it, that truck or that little van that comes around in all the black communities, just like the little free food for the neighborhood, because we got food insecurities as well in our communities, right? So they'll put a truck out there, you come get free groceries, but it's not year round. It's only for a certain amount of time, right? Just to say that they did something for the community. So that's the stigma. That's the big stigma, is that it only comes around in August because that's some kind of the open enrollment start there for health insurance. Don't get it twisted. That's the read between the lines because I work for the government, so that's in between the lines, right? You talk about when you first start and they're talking about we got this wellness program at the job. You get some incentives, get your health insurance lowered at work. You know what I mean? If you
yeah.
participate in these little programs, but it's not year round. It's not all the time. They only promote it during before open enrollment. So, but to piggyback on what Troy said is, I had to find somebody that cared about me too. You know, and with my health issues, I need somebody that's going to be honest, but I need them to listen as well. You know what I
Mm,
mean? If you don't listen to me, I don't need to be in your company because then you just getting my money. You get my little copay, and that's it. I'm not dealing with you. I'd rather go. I done kicked a few doctors to the curb. But my cardiologist, she left one hospital and she called me. They're not supposed to do that. She said, "Do you want to go with me?" Hell yeah, because you saved my life. Yes,
mm,
ma'am. I'm going. I'm going with you. And when I see her, she takes her time. She might have to go, but she puts people in places that she knows who I am and she knows my condition. And even if I don't see her every time I go to the doctor, her PA, the physician assistant, knows what she wants me to have and knows what she needs me to do. So yeah, I feel you, Troy, on that. That makes a big difference. That makes a big difference. So I just think it's a stigma when we do these little vans and stuff like that. Is that's all good and dandy, but it all boils down to a choice. You got to make that choice to be healthy and to be there for your family. And if you don't do that, we can have all this talk all we want, right? You can have the talk all you want, but if you don't trust in yourself or believe that you need to be healthy for your family or to go to work, you can't go to work. You got one leg. You know
I,
what I'm saying?
I think though in reality, is maybe three things. One, for men, a lot of men, it once again boils down to the financial part of it because even with insurance, your copay and all that, a lot of men don't have it. And unless you a two income family or you're very successful, most of us are living check to check. So when it comes to spending money on health, it really isn't a priority for a lot of men. Or it might be a priority, but they're not in the position to act on their priority. So I think that plays a major role. I think also, I think the topic needs to be switched from healthcare to everyone knows that majority of stuff is genetic, is diet. Everything's diet. We preach more on getting on some medicine or healthcare than we preach on if you change your diet as a black man. We eat different than them. With this is not our food. We got to eat our food. We got to stop eating X amount. Then we wouldn't have health problems. So I think that probably should be the main topic is how do you expect to eat junk and then be healthy? Like I had was on the show and I made a point that there's only one aisle in the grocery store that's labeled health food. So they're letting you know the entire store is junk food. So until we decide to change our diet, I think it'll just be a revolving door and it'll stay that way. But here's something that, and this is just where I'm from talk. Honestly, I don't know too many men that are focused on living forever like that. Like I think women are more concerned about, y'all want to be young forever, but y'all on your 28th birthday all your life. I think majority of men, we just like this is life, and when it happened, it happened. We're not pressed to like it's not on the forefront of our mind. Oh, I need to be healthy so I could live forever. I think a lot of men is we work and we like, hey, when he called me, he just called me. We ready for it. Yeah.
So,
Okay,
so,
so
so
let me interject real quick. So I that's kind of what I was saying earlier when I was talking about diet and hydration and stuff like that. Because you're right with the eating, because think about it. In fact, I passed by Checkers the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I saw like they have a Glorilla $4 value pack or value meal. You already know there's nothing healthy in no $4 meal. I don't care who name they put on it. That is not healthy. And so when people are still eating all these processed foods, and I ain't saying I eat healthy all the time, but I eat healthier more than I don't. Um, if you're not eating healthy, you're not diet exercising, think about it. Um, I understand working, I understand people are tired, but people need to be moving your bodies. Our bodies need to be in motion. So you brought up some very valid points. I know they focus on genetics, but they really do need to be all of us, we need to be focused, eating right, hydrating, exercising, sleeping, resting. Even when I think back to like when you guys were talking about how hard men work, you got to think that is one thing that was drilled. It's almost like even though the Bible said God rested on the 7th day, man for some reason feel they got to work 7 days. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? Why is that still so active? Why do people, don't take the time they need to decompress, to unwind, to tend to them? Go ahead, Rondi.
no, just really quickly, I just wanted to say that because I think the question was something about what can we do to get better outcomes, something like that.
Yes, that's
And
along the lines. Yes.
yeah, and I think joining men's groups. There's
Mm,
lots of black men's groups that kind of hold you accountable, that 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 make it so you can share what's going on with you. A lot of times we hold these things inside. We don't let anyone know. But when you join these groups, you start to feel a little bit more comfortable about sharing what's going on in your life and in your body. And then typically someone in the group may have some resources for you. Hey, go over here. These folks specialize in this type of thing.
Yeah, I also want to add another one. Thinking about like when you go out looking for a provider, I think it's also important to go back to the old school family providers that aren't a part of a larger system. I think those are also helpful. One of the things that helped me out a lot, because like you could easily go to one of the larger institutions, and that's great. But the problem is for most of those places, and it's no different really for the family folks, there's a time limitation, right? And so therefore, hey, I got 15 minutes or less to get you in and out of this room. And that's kind of how they operate. Well, since that is the way in which they operate, you can't expect for those folks to come in and really do their best to serve you, because they're on a time clock. And so they're kind of like, I'm in and I'm out. So when you can find yourself like a private family physician, one of the old school physicians, it's a lot better care, because those folks will take the time out to love on you and care for you and to make sure that you have what you need. That's not, of course, across the board, because we can't say across the board for anyone, but I think you get better outcomes when you're in places where, you know, folks have that kind of autonomy to say, okay, well, it's going to take me 25, 30 minutes with this patient. I'm going to take 25 or 30 minutes, whatever it takes, to make sure that they got what they need, and we get to the bottom of it before they leave. And if that means I got to push people back, or I got to push my lunch back, we got to do what we got to do in order to make sure that this person's served. And I think so that's one thing you can do. One of the other things that came up for me during this was, I admittedly will say my mom, throughout most of my childhood and even into my like early adulthood, was schedule all my appointments for me. And that's why I will never tell you I don't need a woman in my life, because although I can do all these things on my own, you know, I think one of the reasons why we end up going to the doctor oftentimes, if we're going to be honest, is because there's a lady on your other side of the bed saying, hey, listen, you need to go get something done about this, that, or the third. And they push you to go ahead and go and do it. So let me tell you, women, you're always needed. There's a spot that is always needed to be covered in our lives. And yeah, we can do it on our own, but definitely it helps out. And I know you get tired of nagging and telling us, hey, go take care of this, that, the third. But at the same time, we need it. We need it. And all I'm doing is just throwing a little gratitude out there for all you women who give your men the nudge to make things happen.
And just add on, I'm going to say quite after this, but I think back to our diet, I think a lot of diseases and sicknesses that we get that our parents and grandparents had, like I say, we get them because we eat the same things they ate. So we get the same effects of it. One. Two, education is super impatient. Like a lot of men aren't informed about doctors and stuff like that. And some Troy said that hit me in the heart, but you my guy, so it wasn't personal. A lot of men don't know, because I never even heard the word podiatrist, so I want to know what that is. So you know what I'm saying? So a lot of men we don't know.
Right.
That's a foot doctor.
Oh, see, if my foot was hurting, last thing on my mind would have been podiatrist.
Well, and it's not something that everybody needs to go and see, right, all the time.
That's like, why I say we need more education on it. Yeah, we're not educated, and it's not our woman's job. But I will admit, we all men are kind of looking for that mommy aspect. And I know that the times I've been to the doctor, 90% of the time, my woman was like, "No, get your butt up and go. This is what you're gonna do." And if she wouldn't have did it, I'd be at home watching the game or whatever it is I do, you know, on the weekend or after work or on my day off. So education and like Troy said, the women, well, y'all need it way more than y'all could imagine.
And see, and to that point, that's why I am so grateful that you guys are having these conversations with me, because women do need to hear that. They need to hear and know that, even though, you know, you guys haven't been trained in, no disrespect when I say this, emotional intelligence, to be, express yourself. You know, you guys see, even when we think you're not listening, you listening. You know what I'm saying? Because we know y'all are, but because that man, that stubborn part, that ego likes to kick in. So that's why I'm so grateful for this conversation. And I do see in the chat where free clinics are running on a shoestring budget and not enough staff. But then, like, back to what was said earlier, maybe some men's groups can be created. And oh, that's right. When you said the men's group, I don't know if any of you guys watched The Shy, but they have a men's group, and I like that. Like, men have that space to have, like, this safe space, have the vulnerable conversations, talk about whatever it is that you guys need to talk about. Because again, mental health is also a big component of your physical health as well. That's why I love what Rondi does with yoga, because yoga, I'm sure somewhere in there, mental health is a major component. From my very first conversation with Troy, I knew he was a grounded individual because I saw his background. So, these things need to happen. People need to understand you gotta, your physical and mental have to go hand in hand. And William, I'm going to say this. Your wife said, I have made appointments for him and resigned from jobs for him. So yes, your bulldog is on it.
And that's a blessing. That's a
Yo,
blessing. Like
yo, that's facts.
that's a
That's
blessing.
facts. I mean, she embarrassed the hell out of me, but it's facts. You know what I'm saying? So, but but I look back at that time when she did that, was she was, because I'm an investment. She's talking about dead money run out, right? Dead money run out. That's her favorite sign. Why would I kill you? Dead money run out. You know what I'm saying? But facts is that she's invested in me. She believes in me. My daughters feel the same way. They need me around. So why wouldn't I listen? I have to listen. And it took me all these years to really see that. And that's on me again. And I have a good friend that lives out in California, man. He tells me all the time, man, look, you know, you gotta sit down and be quiet. Shut up. Listen, shut up. Things gonna happen. You watch when you sit down and be quiet and listen and absorb, things in your life is gonna change. And that's happening. These last few months, thank God, all this stuff is happening. Good things. I met Tammy. I'm on a panel that I would never thought I would be on. That's because of me sitting back and being quiet. This opportunity came up and I got a new job. I got all that stuff, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the mental health that I've been through counseling, and I did all that stuff after I had this surgery because it took me out. I couldn't be here right now, but it's a reason why I'm here. It's a reason why I'm on this panel. It's a reason why, because I haven't left my mark yet, that I think.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are going to help me get that mark. So just understand that. Understand that. I feel I'm honored to be in this group. So just know, but that's me being quiet.
And I'm listening. Y'all already know I'm honored and grateful to have each and every one of you guys. And Shelly been my ride or die from day one. So the new additions to the party. I'm just so grateful for all of you guys. But look, let me put a disclaimer out. There is a thunderstorm passing over right now. And my lights flickered a moment ago. So if something happened, I would have to jump on my phone. I don't know how clear I would be, but I would have to put my Wi-Fi on my phone, and may not, but just giving you guys a heads up. But right, William, you said something too, and about counseling, and I know we've talked about it, but I want to bring that back because that's very very valuable. It's because we, still a lot of people don't want to talk about the fact that they need counseling, they need therapy, and we need to uh, you know address that we as people, I won't even just say male or female, we as people go through so much. And if we don't find that safe space to say, hey, this bothered me, or I'll even go into the people in our lives. Like, if we always have to be yes men, do you know how tiresome that can be? That can be draining, you know, because it's better. And look, I know I'm a woman, but I'm actually a unique woman. I can accept no. But some women, don't accept no. They like if they tell you something, they expect you, they expect you to say yes. And far too often for throughout this journey of life, many of us have said yes when we wanted to say no. What do
So
you got? What are your
real
thoughts
quick,
on that?
I had a black woman say to me last week at my job. She said, Mr. Ward, no is a complete sentence. I was like, whoa.
Oprah said,
I I don't get. Damn. Anyway, Oprah hold everything, but this lady, she's an elder lady. And she said to me, she was talking to me, and she said, you gotta, no is a complete sentence. And when people say God put it on my heart, here God already know what's on your heart. You ain't got to put it out there. Go and do it. You gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. But no is a complete sentence. And I shared that with my wife, and I was like, oh man, that hit home to me because I used to not say no a lot because I thought that was what I was supposed to do to be there for family, to be there for friends, even though it's not reciprocated. So it used to take a toll on me, and that's what part of my sickness was. I was taking on stuff because I think people I want people to love me like I love them. But my best friend told me, he said, man, you gotta stop doing that. You gotta love people that love you the same way you love them. The mother folk, they gonna be there, but if they don't love you and do the same thing for you like I do for you, what's the point? You ain't gotta be mean or nothing. We just in a different spot right now. But you put yourself in that bubble too. People put themselves in bubbles, and then when you get quiet, what's wrong with Will? What's going on? He ain't calling to check on me. I'm good, man. Check on me. How about that? You know what I'm saying? But no is a complete sentence, and I'm using that. I have to for my mental health.
absolutely, absolutely. Anybody else want to comment on that?
I was just gonna add to it. You definitely got to have boundaries, and that's we don't set boundaries for ourselves. So with that being said, I'm gonna use that now. No is a complete sentence, and when you know what your boundaries are, then you know your life will shape up around that.
Well, now you don't say it to the person knows a complete sentence. You just say no. Just,
Yeah, and that's it. That's
and the
it.
rest of it is a complete sentence. You don't say, "Oh, I'm saying no." You know it's a complete sentence.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm not gonna follow up with it, but I get the gist. I
Yeah,
learned.
just say no.
Yeah,
Look, but
you learn me something.
yeah, no, but that's real. That's real because far too often we'll feel bad about saying no to somebody, but then we don't want to say yes. So then we're doing harm to ourselves because it's like I really don't want to say yes to this, but I'm going to do it to keep the peace. But then you don't have peace within yourself. So um that Troy, you come on.
So I guess here's I woke like I wake up in the morning and my mom likes to send out these motivational affirmations in the morning. And this morning, it just so happened before she was able to do that, I happened to cut my phone on, and the first thing I saw on my feed was a motivational speech, and it was some motivational speaker I'd never heard of before, but his name is Miles Monroe because I want to give him his credit. I don't really know Miles, but what I'll say is it popped up, and it was on "Stop Being Too Friendly." And I said, let me listen to this because for me, I happen to be a pretty friendly person. I don't give off that negative energy in general.
Right.
And so with that being said, I wanted to hear what he had to say because I am fairly friendly. And but that doesn't make me a pushover. And I just thought it was really interesting because one of the things that he talked a lot about was, how to be friendly, how to be open, how to be those things, however, with boundaries, right? And I feel like, I'll give you all the love in the world until I realize, you're misusing it, and then I can cut you off, and that's just my policy. That's my personal policy, and so that might not work for everybody, because some people just shut you off at the door and you got to earn it. I'm more of one of those people. You already earned it coming in the door, but I'm gonna shut you out I'm gonna evaluate you and see, just like I would a business. If I'm looking at my business and I'm noticing there's some money coming up short, I'm gonna have to reevaluate who's at the register. And so that's just how I'm gonna look at it, or who's coming in and out and seeing the things that leaving. So I think there's that. Um, I think it's so important that we focus on ourselves and understanding, being open to all of the different, things that are happening for us. I think we have to start really being open, just like we talked about with, our health. We also have to also put that mental health piece in there as well. And I think most of us, I think once again, because this is where we started, I think most of us have a hard time with anything related because one, we haven't been exposed to it, and we tend to think that it's all negative, right? um Somebody said earlier, if you go in, you got to be honest when you're going into your doctor. What's the same thing with therapy, for instance? If you're going to go and see a therapist, you're never going to get anything out of it if you can't be honest with yourself. If you can't come in and be honest with yourself, then you already done lost the battle already. You're not going to get anywhere because nobody can get you anywhere unless you're ready to be open and honest. So there's that whole piece. And then I think the other piece is just even understanding the existence of it, right? I talk a lot about ADHD because I happen to have it, and as an adult and having to deal with that from day to day, there's some things that you got to understand. There's some things that are a little different from me, and so when I'm with people, sometimes I'll let them know, like, hey, look, this is how this is going to work. Don't tell me, hey, go to the store and buy 14 items and think I'm gonna remember that. Like, matter of fact, don't send me 5. You're gonna have to send that in the text so I can check them off and make sure that I get it, because otherwise I'll go in here and pick up everything but what I came in here to get. So it's just that. It's just understanding yourself. And so sometimes a lot of people that I talk to find out they don't, that like, hey, I'm suffering from this, that, the third too, or I'm having some anxiety. I'm going into a place and I don't know how to handle it, or I'm starting to feel like I'm panicking, or my tachycardia, so my heart's rapidly beating. Those types of things are happening, and they don't understand what this is. They're suffering from things every single day, but they don't understand it. We don't have these conversations, so they just grin and bear it. And I think at some point we got to be able to be honest. The reason why I talk about it so much is because I can't tell you how many people I've helped to get help just by looking at myself. Being able to be honest with myself and being able to be honest with other people has helped a lot of people to feel comfortable with me and also with themselves, to be able to say, hey, I am having this. And it's okay to go and get some help with this. Because if you don't, you're not your best self. You functioning as only a part of yourself. You haven't unlocked your full potential until you can figure out some of these things you got going on. And so it's important to do that. So that's my 2 cents. I hope that that helps somebody, is to be able to say, hey, look, man, we all have some things going on, and as men, it's okay. That doesn't make me less of a man. That don't make me less of a man just because I can be vulnerable enough to say, hey, look, I'm having this issue, or I've been going through this. That doesn't make me less of a man at all. As a matter of fact, maybe it makes me a better man because I can help my fellow man. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Rondi, what you got for me?
Man, I think said everything. I just want to iterate the importance of having um, someone to talk to, someone to who you can go to, and it's trusted. Mental wellness is so important in our community. We have this generational trauma that keeps passing down and passing around, and we have to, if we want to move forward, we have to start there with mental wealth, mental wellness professionals, and start engaging with them so we can let some of this stuff go. Because I think our mental wellness that illness can affect our physical illness. I think some of the stuff turns into a physical illness, and so yeah, yes, I'm all in on mental wellness, definitely.
Love it, love it. And I was thinking it, but it was put in the chat. R.I.P. to Miles Monroe. He was an awesome teacher and human being. Yeah, because him and his entire family. Well, I know members of his family. They transitioned in a. I think it was a plane crash or something like that. Um, some years ago. But okay, so this was a great talk on this topic. I want to we still have a little bit of time. I want to shift the topic. I want to hopefully I can play this video. Um so guys, I want y'all feedback on this. Now the thing is, Troy, I would have been playing the one we were supposed to talk about, but I didn't know you was gonna make it, so I didn't cue that one up. So we're gonna save that one. But I want you guys to hear this. This was sent to me right after our talk last night. I mean last month. And it was suggested like this would be a good talk for you guys, a topic for you guys. So let me see if I can share my screen and hold on. Let me make sure that what I want is up. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I hope you guys can hear this when I play this.
I got a request. Can we put the 50-50 conversation to bed? Here's the thing. When we talk about going 50-50, the one thing that most people don't do is take into consideration that there is more than one way to go 50-50. Do I want a man who is a provider? Yes. Do I want a man who is a protector? Yes. Will I contribute? Absolutely. Because in relationships, 50-50 is you taking care of me and me taking care of you. We came into this relationship whole, 100-100. But this 50-50 split, it's got to be me making sure that I'm not putting too much on you and you making sure you're not putting too much on me. See, I can't speak for other women, but I can speak for myself. Just like the soft life that I want to live, I want my man to live one too. I don't want him struggling trying to pay my bills. Look, if my man is paying the bills in the household and he is a provider, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to provide the entertainment. I am going to book the trips. I'm gonna make sure that he got clothes, shoes, whatever it is that he need. Socks, drawers, you got it. He not gonna have to buy it himself because I got that boo. It's like if you want 50-50 and you want me to contribute to the household financially, then when you see me struggling to maintain the household because I've had a lot on my plate for the week, then why don't you step in and say, hey, babe, I got dinner tonight. Even if you can't cook, order out, whatever it is that you're going to do. 50-50 does not only mean financially. 50-50 is me taking something off your plate and you taking something off mine. What y'all think about that?
Y'all want me to start? Y'all want me to start? You want me to start? Cause,
Anybody feel free to jump in.
cause I'm gonna say this, and people take it the way they want to take it. I just celebrated 28 years of marriage,
I saw that.
right? Last Saturday.
Congratulations.
Last Saturday, right? This past Saturday. We've been together 32, right? So that girl, she's speaking truth because there's no such thing as 50-50 to me. Sometimes somebody gonna do 30, somebody might do 20, somebody might be doing something else. In a real relationship, right? Because when I was sick, who had to take on the heat? Who had to take the weight on, right? When I lost my job, my wife made sure she was working. I did the cooking. I like to cook, so that didn't bother me. So, but it's facts. That's what a real relationship is. It's not about 50-50. It's about if you see this person got too much on, I'm supposed to take the weight, you know? So I'm a living testimony to that. I don't see 50-50. I see somebody might be 30, it might be 30-20, might be 40-10 one day of the week or 1 month. It might be it might be 49 and 1. You know what I'm saying? So it depends. But if you don't have that open relationship, that open communication, not relationship, but the open communication and the understanding and the boundaries, the guidelines of how we going to do things in our life, and how we going to succeed, it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. And we've been through some stuff. Don't get me wrong. It ain't all been peaches and cream. You know what I mean? I mean, we've dealt with friends, family, children, women. You know, it's been all kinds of stuff that we've been through to make it this far. We actually been together for 32 years. You see what I'm saying? I never thought I'd be with a woman that long. I think she put something in my food anyway, but that's another. We can talk about that later. That could be another topic. You know what I'm saying? But and I know she's listening. She's on this thing, so she know the fact. But 50-50 is something that people are talking about now. Well, I don't want to do 50-50, you know. And then like, he's supposed to pay my bill. What you contributing? What you doing? Well, I look good and I bring this to the table. If you can't cook me some bacon and some eggs and some other stuff, what you contributing, right? What you doing? I don't care nothing about looks. Your looks can go away because half of it's not real anyway. You know, looks go away. But what about your character, your morals, your strife, your goals? What do you want to do in life? That's what I'm attracted to. I want to make love to your brain, not just your body. You know what I mean? I get excited about what we can talk about.
Okay.
And now, me and my wife at this stage in our life, we argue about who's going to turn the light off first. When we get ready to go to bed, I try to get in the bed first. Turn that light off. You know what I mean? We get to arguing, and I'm gonna share this, and I share this because I'm comfortable in this forum, and I'm comfortable about my relationship. We get in a disagreement. We got in a disagreement last week. We talking about sleeping in different rooms. We don't do that. I don't do that. I don't care how mad you get. You gonna sleep in this bed because I gotta go to work in the morning, and I can't go to sleep until you rub my feet. My feet gotta touch your feet. I don't care nothing about all that. We can be mad. We can agree to disagree, but we're not separating because that's not what we doing. What does that mean? You gonna go sleep in the other room? I ain't sleeping on no couch. That's why I got a bed. But I wasn't always there though. I wasn't always there. It takes work and it takes time. It takes discussion. We had a disagreement, but at the end of the day, I ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere either. I told her I was gonna stalk her if she ever left. You can't be in the club with your girlfriend, your hands held up in the air. What you doing? I'm coming in with my pajamas and slippers. What you doing? Over here. Ain't over till I say it's over. You know what I mean? Hey, we ain't doing all that. It's not necessary. But that's what we do now. You know, we have to have a discussion about who's going to do what. What if this happens? What if this happens? How we going to handle stuff? Because we still got to live. We still got people that relies on us. So that's my thought. And a little humor for y'all, man. But that's facts. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you.
It was a little humor, but when you started talking, your daughter said, "Dad, hush."
This is recorded.
I know, right? And but your
They know
wife,
what it is.
look, and your wife jumped in. He is telling the truth. And another person chimed in, "Go get your wife, sir." Yes. So yeah, no sleeping on the couch in separate bedrooms. But the light thing, look, I got a solution for you guys. You can get Alexa to turn off everything. So I'm just saying, y'all can.
And that's the easy
And
way.
listen
That's
to
the easy
everything.
way. That's the easy way. I like to cause conflict. Anyway.
Okay, guys. William, I'm sorry, Rondi, Troy, Shelly, y'all got anything y'all want to say to that video or piggyback off of what William said?
I'm gonna just say I never understood what the problem with 50-50 is. I don't know why no one wants to do 100% by themselves. That makes no sense when life is already hard enough as it is, one. And two, I think that subject even only comes up because nobody plans to be together forever. So they're trying to get what they could get while they could get it. But people who are truly in love and want to be together forever, I don't think they're keeping score. It ain't no what you gonna do, what I'm gonna do. It's what can I do to make my person's life easier, and what can they do to make mine easier. And sometimes I'm gonna do 100% for 3 months. But if I got 15, 20 years to be with this person, that 3 months ain't nothing, because they might do 200% for the next 6 months. I never understood like, how do you be in a relationship and keep score of who did what last? You do what you know needs to be done, or do what you know they need to be done, and it all comes around.
Somebody put wise words, Shelly. Wise word. Yeah. And I think that might come about in this dating world that we're in now. This, like, because no one wants to put up more than the next, in case, just like Shelly just said, that person isn't there tomorrow or something like that. But I feel that that's a mindset that needs to change, because I feel, if you're dating, and it shouldn't be about you putting up more, I'm putting up more, and then the mindset, the man is supposed to do it all. So I'm gonna digress, because this is a man's talk. Y'all talk. You all talk to me. Give us something. Give me something.
I'm a I'm gonna play something for y'all real quick. Hope y'all can hear it. Loving somebody and somebody. All right, that's my jam right there. That's just Teddy just said it all, right? You know, as a yoga teacher, there's this symbol, the yin yang, yin yang. Some people know it as yin yang. You guys know what that is, the yin yang? If you look at it, it's not, certain parts of it is more than others, right? And what that means is sometimes you're gonna be given a little bit more. Sometimes you're gonna take a little bit more, right? Relationships has that ebb and flow, and sometimes it's flowing, sometimes it's stagnant. But it's that thing where you're gonna give, and you're given without prejudice, right? And when you do that, it's hard for someone not to give back when you're giving honestly and truly. It's hard for them not to want to give something back, right? So that's it. Loving somebody when someone loves you back.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm gonna say number one, shout out to the sister, for her comments, because I think like that, to me, that's phenomenal. It shouldn't be. It should just be basic common sense. But I'm gonna say shout out to her. That's phenomenal, because like I think it needs to be said and people need to hear it. Um, I will say, from personal experience, one of the things I had experienced, especially like when I first moved to California, I didn't have it. My lady had a job and I didn't. And I remember, my best friend can attest to this. One of the things that I did was I knew I was gonna have to depend on her because she came in with a job. I had to find one. And so what I did was, it was super important to me, because I know she's bringing in the bacon right now. She gonna feel a way if she's then having to come home and take care of all the other responsibilities. So it was important to me to make sure she didn't have to think about nothing home related. So home related, I got that. When you take them clothes off, I wash it. I got all of that. I got all of that. I'll go wash the car, make sure that that's good. Leave a little note in there to tell her how much I care about her and appreciate her. Because the reality of it is, I understood that, like, if I don't keep her happy and understanding that I'm trying to contribute in the ways that I can right now, I'm gonna have problems in my relationship. And so I think it's important for us to also talk about that other side of things, that like not being selfish, but being more selfless. Like there's times where you have to be selfish for yourself. You got to always put your oxygen mask on first. But at the same time, understanding that like, hey, you are also got to put out that energy that you want in return. If you're not receiving what you need in return, that's a whole nother thing. That's something y'all might need to work on. But the reality of it is, you do need to make that effort to go when you don't have. And I think that's something that we don't ever talk about. The things that, like, when you can't contribute in the ways that you used to being able to contribute, how do you contribute so that you don't feel like, hey, I'm having to beg mama. I gotta beg mama for an allowance, or anything like that. But like, also to be able to contribute to a person and make them feel like, hey, what I'm doing is valued. What I'm doing for you and holding you down is valuable. And so I think that those are some of the things that, like, we can do. But I do appreciate, like, the sister, and like 50-50 to me is amazing. If you can get it, if you can get a person that's willing to meet you halfway, that's amazing. And I love the way she even detailed it, because it doesn't, as you just said, Rodney, it's not like, it's the yin and yang. There's sometimes you're gonna give more, take more, but understanding that we are still in this circle together. We are still connected. We are still together. We are still, the symbol of the ring is a unifier. It's a unifier as one. We are still one. Whether we be a little more on this side this time or a little less, we still one. And I think that is the bigger picture: is, are you going into relationships to for what you can get out of them, or are you going into relationships in the idea of building a unit and being in unison together collectively? That's where I stand with that. But yeah, shout out to the sister.
No, that was big. I love that. I love William.
Um, just to piggyback again, I have to set the example how I want my daughters to be treated, right? I have to set that example. Every time I went to go pick their mom up for a date when we was dating in college, I didn't beat the horn. I didn't say come outside. I knocked on the door, went in the house, spoke to her mom, handshake her brothers, and that's how I want my daughters to be respected. That's how they know what they want in a relationship. It don't work out. Sometimes it don't work like that. I took my daughters on that first date, me and them, to show them what you're supposed to do. I opened the door, sat them down. Every time and I know they're gonna be embarrassed that I say this, but every time they had their menstrual cycle, I had a balloon and some chocolate for them, right? So there's certain things that you gotta teach your daughters as a man how you want them to be treated, and they won't accept this other stuff. The same thing as boys. My mom taught me about something. My dad was there, but he didn't teach. My mom taught me. It ain't about you. You have to make that woman feel and make her love you how you want to be loved, right? That's what it is. And like I said, teaching my daughters on how they supposed to be treated, that's my job. That ain't their mom's job. That's my job as a father. Because I treat them, I try to set the example of how I treat them up. They seen us argue, but I never call their mother out their name, never put my hands on her. You know what I mean? Because then kids model what they see, right? We talked about that last time. Kids model what they do. They see me and her beefing and fighting and arguing. They think that's normal behavior. So they're going to find somebody like their dad, right? And then that's not the cycle that's broken. So in order to, you have to sometimes train people and find a mate that treats you like you want to be treated, like your mom was hugging up on you. You want somebody that's going to nurture you. A man wants somebody that's going to nurture them like their mother or their grandmother. Women want a man like their dad, whether they're good, whether they're present or not. They're going to attract a man like their dad. I had to tell one of my daughters, because she's married and I know she's listening, I had to tell her, don't compare your husband to me. You can't do that. You're putting him in his position. You're putting him down. That's not his role to be me. You have to show him how you want to be loved. You have to show him that. You have to set that stage. But don't ever compare me to your mate to me, because I'm different. And he can't be me because he didn't go through what I went through. He's his own man, and you have to uplift him. You have to show him how you need to be respected and loved. And that's his choice. That's his choice if you want to do it. So those are the things I'm still teaching. I'm still teaching and showing my daughters they in their mates. 'Cause I have to lead by example. We have disagreements. It's all right to have a disagreement, but you got to come back from it. It can't be to the point where you just say, "Oh, the hell with it," because we ain't getting along right now. That's not how it works. Not how it works.
Well, your wife did put in the chat that they do see you all make up, so that's big. And Rondi, you had the dancing ladies when you was playing the music, and like somebody like, okay, Mr. Buddha, so they shout. You got a whole little shout out there. and William, your daughter Nico said, and I better get a call from my dad on Valentine's Day. So you got them trained. And that is true. That, if a lot of men could understand that, like I understand well, I don't understand, but I know the little roles that the ego plays in life. But when it comes to dating women, then especially when you have a daughter, you got to start thinking, do I want my daughter to be treated the way that I'm treating her mother, or I'm treating other women? However, I'm gonna say this, and I want you guys to comment on this. I also think how a man treats his mother is also a reflection on how he's gonna treat a woman. What do you guys think on that? And then I have two comments to read from the chat, but that just popped in my head. What do you guys think on that? Because I feel, and what I mean by that, I feel if you see where a guy curses at his mom, disrespects his mom, how do you think he's going to treat a woman in a relationship? Because that's already, to me, a display that he really doesn't respect women. What are your thoughts and comments on that? Anybody?
I would imagine that there's some truth to that, because of your, have issues with your mom, you're probably having issues with women in life. Because I mean, the first woman that you're gonna ever love is gonna be your mother, or should be, and if not, then maybe grandma or whatever. But like if those matriarchs in your family are people that you don't seem to show signs of respect for, then there's probably going to be some trauma, or there was some trauma there, and there's probably going to be some drama in your relationships with women, unless you've done some work. That's what I would imagine. I can't say this because me and my mom have a really good rapport. We got really good relationship. We always have. But I do. One of the things I do understand is because I had such a good relationship with my mom, I do respect women in a different way. I try to make sure that I care for them. I think about them, thinking about what their needs are, but also taking care of myself at the same time. There's a balance there. And I think part of the reason why I do go so hard is because I am, my mom, I spent a lot of time with I got a lot of women in my family. And they've all been, I mean, my second mom is my sister. they've all been very detrimental in my upbringing. So I gotta, I think all of that impacted me in the way that I treat women in my life. I definitely, don't think I've ever really been disrespectful in any major ways to women in my life. I mean, but hey, we all grow. We start from somewhere, so I can't say I was always perfect. I'm still not. So
Love it. Love it. Okay, I love that. So let me go ahead and read this comment. I love this. I think most times people hear wanting to be 50-50 and automatically think the man's room is diminished because he's expected to be the financial backbone because of how we were brought up. Um, and then also part two to that person's statement, men can show up as more of an emotional support than how we were raised. I was raised by my grandparents, and my granddad never took me to one doctor's appointment. It's important to both show up. And I agree with that. Guys, you want to comment on that?
Times were different. I'm just gonna say that right off the top. Times were different. Times have changed. What we see now is not what we saw 10 years ago. What we see 10 years ago was not what you saw 20 years ago. Like the reality of it is times have changed. Some of the things that were okay back in the 40s and 50s and 60s aren't okay now. And so we have to also think about, like, once again, I always say this when I'm on this platform, we have to remind ourselves of our history and where we came from. And for most of the African American people here, on we have to also think about like what we came from, what was installed in us throughout these years, and what's been ingrained and continuously propagandized into our psyches. So the reality of it is, women weren't at one point that important, other than having to make sure that they we had children. This is a reality of the way folks were mentality was at one point in time in this country. And so yeah, I do agree that I think we need to show up and be able to do all of these different things. I think men can do a lot of, we can definitely make some steps and strides to do some of these things that we haven't done traditionally. But I think that, like, we also have to realize that, like, most of us have come from some traumatic stuff, traumatic experiences throughout history, whether it was our generation or the generations before us. This is all lingered to some degree, and we're just supposed to be striving to get better and better. Unfortunately, I don't know how great we're doing at that right now, but there are things that we can definitely improve on, and I think that that is one of the ways that we possibly can improve for sure, and show up in a different way. And as we can hear people like Brother William, there are men out here that are already making those strides.
I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Shelly, Rondi, you all want to, either one of you want to add to any of that? Okay.
Troy, you went in on that one, bro. Hey, you were ready for that one. It's like you knew what the question was going to be. Um, um,
It was a layup.
it was a layup.
Ah,
Yeah, I heard that. Well, you dunked
alley-oop.
it. You dunked it right behind the back. Um, but I'm not. I'm, I'm just gonna throw a little curveball in here. There's this book called by Subunfu Some, The Spirit of Intimacy. I don't know if any of you guys read it. Um, and they talk about relationships through an African point of view. And she says that the uncle on the dad's side is like a second mom. Um, and if I know it works in my situation, my uncle, my dad's brother, was almost like a second mom to me. Sometimes the dad son relationship can be kind of fraught. There could be some friction there. And that uncle comes and smooths things out. Like that was that uncle that I could talk to, that I could lean on, that I could that who sort of understood me when my dad didn't, you know. I know it's sort of off the subject, but uh, I don't know if you guys ever heard of anything like that. The uncle as a second mom.
It's the first for me.
But I can agree to that because me and my dad didn't have that great of a relationship, but I had my godfather, which was his closest friend. I could talk to him. He listened to me. He did things with me that my dad didn't do with me. You see what I'm saying? So I can relate to that. And I wouldn't have called him my second mom, but he was there for me. He was there. He definitely was there. Like when my mom and dad got into it, he was the one that my mom called and said, "Come get William. I need you to come get him." Or if I got in trouble or I got something, he said, "Come get him." And he come up in his blue pickup truck, pick me up, and take me for a ride. He didn't buy me nothing. He didn't try to soothe me and stuff. He talked to me, and if I was wrong, he gave me consequences. I had to pick weeds, or I had to go rake the yard, or something. So that built character. That if I do something, there's consequences for those things. There's consequences for your behavior and your actions. But he was gentle with me. He was very
Mm,
gentle. He was
yeah.
gentle,
Yeah.
but he also had all girls. So before his grandsons came, he had nephews, but I was his son. I was his godson. So he had three girls, like I got three girls. So it's crazy. We ain't gonna go into that, but he he was gentle with me, and he listened. He talked to me. He gave me advice. He shared experiences that my dad, and he explained to me why my dad's behavior was the way it was, because he didn't know no better. He
Mm,
wasn't taught that because he grew up with my father, so he knew. My grandfather was considered a tyrant in the neighborhood. So he was real rough on the boys. So I didn't know that. How would I know? Right? But I had that piece in my life that was my godfather, and I called him my uncle. It was my uncle. He wasn't my goddad. I didn't call him goddad. I called him uncle in his name. So yeah, I agree with that. I've experienced that. So, but he helped me be a man just as much as the dysfunction I had that I wouldn't want to be like my dad, but he showed me what a dad is supposed to do with three girls
Wow.
and how
mm.
you treat your girls. So, yeah, it's definitely real. I never knew that was the label, but it's real. It's real.
New one to me. Rondi, were you done?
Uh,
That was enlightening.
yeah. My mom and I have a great relationship. We've always been really tight. I'm one of six boys, and I'm right in the middle. There's three older and two younger, and yeah, I, I I see her every week. We spend the whole day together on Tuesdays. Every Monday night, I go over there, stay the night, get up and take her to her appointments, hang out all day, and then bring my butt on home. So yeah, we um, as far as how that relates to relationship, I think sometimes just being consistent. Just being consistent with her. I think that's how it shows up in my relationship is being consistent. Um, and when people know they can depend on you, I think it goes a long way.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, this has, of course, been a phenomenal conversation. So I am going to bring this to an end and just thank you guys. Like, this is everything that I continuously hope for, the authenticity, the realness. I hope to the viewing audience, you guys glean something from this conversation, because this is about adding value. And I feel as we add this value and build a community, at some point we will have an impact. We will make a change. And some of the things that we're talking about, I believe we will find ways to implement them. And it's each one teach one, reach one. I feel, it starts with us. What they say, charity starts at home and spread. So I feel by us doing this is what we're doing. We're getting the word out there. because you guys are being in touch with your feelings and vulnerability. So I appreciate you guys for that. So much gratitude, love, and gratitude to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and do a round robin and bring this to a close. So I am going to start with you, Rondi. Any final words that you have for the people, and also let the people know how they can get in contact with the Black Yoga himself. chocolate,
Yeah.
chocolate yoga, chocolate yoga,
Chocolate Buddha. Yeah, the chocolate
chocolate.
Buddha. Um, yeah. When someone loves you and you love them back, right? It's nothing like that. It's nothing like um being in love and sharing that feeling with someone else. Um and being in that space of of just giving and receiving. It's 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 a beautiful thing, and I wish that on all of us, right? To be in that spirit, you know. um yeah. The- so I run a couple of organizations. One is Black to Yoga, www.blacktoyoga.com. And you can also find me at www.chocolatebuddhayoga.com.
Listen, Rondi. The way you talk, I'm thinking about you talking about that bass guitar. I just had a whole I just had a whole flashback. I had a whole flashback. Oh
Yeah,
my
but
God. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Don't
your aura. I
yeah,
get it. I
yeah.
get it.
Don't bring me around your bass guitar.
Ha!
Don't bring me around that stand-up bass guitar.
We know, boy, we know. We
If
know.
you want to keep them.
That's a whole thing right there. I love it. I love it. I love it. My ride or die, my man
Mm.
Shelly. Any final words for the people, and you know how they can get in touch with you.
I think final word wise, so much we kind of touched on and went over. But I think the most important thing is to know thyself. And once you know who you are, then you'll know what you want out there. Um, and I also think people need to understand that everybody's not one meant to be a husband, meant to be a best friend, meant to be a wife. You can't love the red flags out of people. So you
Mhm.
have to be honest with yourself and know when you meet someone, do you like them for them, flaws and alls, not who you think they could be or who you want them to be or what your idea image is of a man or a woman. So we just have to be honest with ourselves, and honesty comes from knowing yourself. And it's okay to be alone sometimes. But just know you and know the people and make sure happiness comes first. So that's it on those subjects. But as usual, my Instagram's on the screen. All your real estate needs, definitely come call me, ask me, no matter what it is, dumb, smart, typical question. I'm here for whoever and everybody regarding real estate. So um, I'm gonna leave it at that for tonight and pass the mic.
Listen, first of all, you said know thyself. Like that come from my favorite movie of all the movies in the world, The Matrix. Like because that was a powerful message, and it really, really is important for people to know themselves. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys, if anybody listening saw the Wisdom Wednesday, from the first Wednesday of the month. Let me tell you, if y'all didn't listen, go back and listen. We had a gentleman that practices sacred geometry. He teaches sacred geometry, and he's like a shaman, a medicine man. He talks so deep, and he talked about, like either you stay sleep in this matrix, you wake up in this matrix, whatever you want to do. But that conversation was so deep. So anytime I hear know thyself, and now I'm thinking about him, I'm thinking about the matrix. And at the end of the day, we really do need to. It's like I was just recently telling, in fact, I told somebody this today. Like Angela Bassett told T'Challa on Black Panther, show them who you are. So in order to be able to show a person who you are, you got to know who you are. And a lot of people are having an identity crisis. So maybe that's a talk we gonna probably have to have, guys, an identity crisis conversation. William, final words for the people and tell them how they can get in contact with you.
Uh, put no in your vernacular skills. Put no, and know that no is not always a negative. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break, because people will use you for what you can give to them, but they won't give it back. So, use no as a release point for you. And I'm using it. I tell you what, I haven't said it yet, but I show it, because I can't be here, there, everywhere. You know, my family comes first now. At this age in my life, I gotta start thinking about certain things and what I'm gonna do later in life and how I want to be. So no is definitely um one of the things that's gonna be in my vocabulary, and I'm gonna sharpen my vernacular skills with it. I can be reached at just Facebook. Um, I do have an Instagram. I don't know the stuff, but I gotta figure it
I'm
out.
sure your
I
kids, your
figured out.
daughters are gonna help
Yeah,
you.
they know. Yeah, they
They
get
gonna
me.
help
They
you.
get me on track. I don't know,
They gonna get you right. They gonna get
but
you
I'm
right.
on, but I'm on Facebook, and my email address is wward128@gmail.com. Anybody want to reach out to me that way? We can talk like that too. But you know, I'm just thankful again for you guys. Like I said, I never expected this in this point in my life. So, and it's therapy for me as well. So, um, just to be able to talk, I go to the barber shop for 15 minutes just to get my face shaved up so I can talk to some men. You know what I mean? So sometimes, I just go. I spend $15 every week just so I can have some man time.
Love it.
But so some things you got to do just to make sure you got some peace. And I'm learning what protect your peace is,
Mm,
and it's definitely getting better and better.
sweet.
But that's it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. All right, Troy, bring us home. What you got for us?
Man, I want to first say Rondi messed me all the way up with all of this talk. Like Rondi, you got me all messed up because my mind went to like I met with my mentee earlier in the week and he was like, we had a conversation about the difference between a thought and a person that you really are in love with. What's the difference? And it was a whole conversation, but you reminded me of it when you was talking about like being in love and what that feels like and the difference between that and everything else, the others. Anyway, what I'm gonna leave us with today is I always normally say love yours, but what I'm gonna say today is love yourself enough to love on yourself.
Mm,
And I say that because that is exactly what we're really talking about is you have to love yourself enough to remind yourself that I need to take care of myself. I need to go and work out. I need to eat better. I need to go to the doctor when something don't feel right. I don't need nobody to keep telling me I should just go and do that so that I don't die and leave my family behind with nothing. They need me. They would much rather have me here than not. So thinking about those things. So love yourself enough to love on yourself. And I'm gonna leave y'all with that.
nice, nice, nice. And I'm going to add to him hit to that. Spend time by yourself. Meditate. You really want to go inside. You really do. You want to quiet your mind. I don't care if it's 5 minutes a day. That's 5 minutes a day that you will be serving your highest and greater good. That's so important. So, and just a little bit about me, I am a transformational speaker and life coach, and I would love to be a part of your event as either a speaker or MC. You can attain more information at www.thassawoman.com. So, with much love and gratitude, I thank each and every one of my panelists for being part of this conversation. I thank you, my viewers, for joining. And again, if you are not part of our community, I invite you to join us by subscribing, as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with new content. And do us a favor, give this video a like by clicking a thumbs up by clicking the like button, to help us get out there, because more people need to be a part of these conversations. And so, for those who don't know, the month of August is considered to be Happiness Happens Month. Therefore, I am going to leave you with this quote. Note to self: create a life filled with things that make you happy. Everything you need to live a happy life is already within you. My words to go with that: you may have never been told this. You are the creator of your own reality. Armed with that knowledge, take full advantage of the power that's within you to create the most beautiful life that you could ever imagine. Even with the chaotic state of the world today, you have the power to dream, visualize, manifest your desires, and be the happiest person that you can be. It's an inside job. So notice, do not assign anyone else the responsibility of making you happy, because it's not their job. Peace and blessings. Stay amazing. Good night to you all, my panel. Much love to you all. Good night.